I hope to goodness they are able to stop this well before long. Many methods have been tried. Every method to date has failed. An authority said to me, one of my Mr. X's said to me, the only hope left is a nuclear device. But, and he put a big but there. Let me try to explain. In order to stop a well that has blown every safety precaution that they have, how do you get in there to do anything about it now that it's flowing at full force? And they have drilled into, BP has, in the Gulf of Mexico, has drilled into a strata of oil in a super deep well that more than likely has never been drilled into before. They encountered pressures that more than likely have not even been encountered by Russia when they drilled their super deep wells because of the particular strata they went into. So as a result, this individual said to me, he said, Chaplain, the only hope I see of even possibly being able to do anything about this oil coming out into the Gulf of Mexico is a nuclear device. But, he said, here is my concern. And I could hear the fear in his voice. This man was not happy at all. He said, Chaplain, if we succeed, then we'll be heroes. And everybody will pat us on the back and say thank you. He said, Chaplain, my fear is that this strata of oil has such extreme pressure that we might, by using a nuclear device, he said, first of all, let me back up. He said, first of all, it's going to take us months in order to drill an angle well in order to be able to plant a nuclear device. So he said, you're talking probably 3 to 4 months before the oil well can even be stopped at all, even if we use the nuclear device. And it succeeded. But he said, my concern is that, number one, we hope we succeed. He said, secondly, if we go down and plant that nuclear device and this strata of oil that BP has drilled into is ruptured further rather than being plugged, he said, Chaplain, I don't even want to think about it. Now, I must go into the next point because I can verify this with 2 sources just as of today. Plumes of oil have been reported many miles away. They definitely have been reported 5 miles away, and I'll give you another source in a moment that has reported them even further miles away. That means that undoubtedly that pipe that's in the bottom of the ocean, after it exploded with this extreme pressure, undoubtedly that pipe must be, or may be, nobody knows yet, may be ruptured at different points down under the ocean of the floor and could very well be seeping out plumes of oil as many, and I'll give you this one in a moment, from NOAA, which of course is the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. They say it could be as far as 20 miles away, and that's a government agency talking. Now, this means we're in trouble, because if that pipe is ruptured down further, how would you ever stop it? Because who knows how far down it's ruptured. And with the area of oil this strong and with this pressure, what are they going to do? Now, Senator Bill Nelson, please write this down. Senator Bill Nelson, Democrat from Florida. He was on MSNBC and was being interviewed by Andrea Mitchell. He said, I'm quoting, oil is seeping up from the seabed. That means it's not only coming out. Now, this is a senator. This is on national MSNBC. You can find this on your webpage. He said oil is seeping up from the depth of the sea. That means that it's coming from somewhere besides the wellhead. Yes, you have massive amounts, a literal geyser of oil coming up out of the wellhead. But then at distances from the wellhead, to you from NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. I am reading their report, and this is by Chris Biltmore from Houston, Texas, representative of NOAA. It came from Reuters News Service. U.S. experts investigating reports of undersea oil plumes emanating from BP's stricken well in the Gulf of Mexico on Tuesday confirmed the presence of low levels of oil below the surface. NOAA is confirming the presence of very low concentrations of subsurface oil. Jane Luciano, administrator of National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, told a briefing in Washington. It was the first government confirmation of undersea oil in the vicinity of BP's blown-out well beneath the ocean, 1 mile beneath the ocean. Up to now, both NOAA and BP have played down the possibility of undersea plumes. When university researchers aboard the Pelican research ship last month reported finding an underwater plume roughly, are you ready for the figure? Roughly 20 miles long, NOAA issued a statement on May the 17th criticizing the findings as misleading, premature, and in some cases inaccurate. Well, that's just like them to do that, isn't it? For the sake of, yeah, okay, now I'll keep on reading. BP officials have said that oil from the well rises to the surface because it is lighter than water. There aren't any plumes, BP Chief Executive Tony Hayward said on May the 30th. But after analyzing undersea samples gathered by research aboard the University of South Florida's research vessel, the Weatherbird 2, you ready? The bottom line is, yes, there is oil in the water column. That means that they're plumes. Now, I finished reading that. That means that they positively are confirmed, and now they're admitting it. At first, they said it's not there. But now they're admitting it. There are plumes that are coming up from the bottom of the ocean and other places. How do you cap a dozen sites? How do you cap even 2 sites where the oil is coming up? I mean, we have something here that if the American people had the slightest idea of the immensity of the problem, it would frighten them. We would have panic. But people must know. And I think that people need to know the truth regardless of whether it hurts or helps. So, here goes. The black oil in the water in the Gulf of Mexico is not, I hope you're catching this word, is not the greatest danger. The black stuff just destroys wildlife, fish, oysters, shrimp, fishermen's occupations, the pristine white beaches of Pensacola, Florida, and the marshlands and coral reefs. What comes out of the oil gusher with the oil? Now, most people don't even realize that something else comes out of the ground in every oil well, not just oil. But other things come out too. And what comes out with the oil is causing the death of, oh my goodness, I didn't even want to consider this. Most people have not even thought of this. I recognize it because at Prudhoe Bay, I remember very well that they talked about all the other things that came out of that well with the oil. And many of them are volatile. They are gas. They are in the atmosphere. And if those things were not filtered out of the oil, the moment that the oil comes out of the ground, as they do it, for instance, on America's big oil field at Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, they would get into the atmosphere and would cause horrendous repercussions. That's what I'm going to get into right now.